They thought she was just another corporate security guard checking badges at the entrance, quiet, unremarkable, the kind of person you'd walk past without a second glance. But when 3 armed men stormed the 47th floor with military precision, something changed in her eyes. The way she moved, the way she calculated angles and distances. In 90 seconds, she did what a SWAT team couldn't. And that's when everyone realized the woman they'd ignored for 3 years wasn't who they thought she was. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story resonates with you, please consider subscribing for more tales of extraordinary people hiding in plain sight. The glass towers of downtown Seattle reflected the morning sun as employees of Meridian Financial streamed through the revolving doors of the 60-story headquarters. Among them, nobody noticed Victoria Chen adjust her earpiece and scan the lobby with practiced eyes that had once surveyed battlefields in Helmand Province. For 3 years, she had been invisible. The quiet security manager who arrived at 6 a.m., left at 7 p.m., and handled employee access cards, visitor protocols, and incident reports without fanfare. Her desk on the 3rd floor was positioned perfectly to monitor all building entrances through her computer screens, though most employees assumed she was just watching Netflix during slow periods. What they didn't know was that Victoria Chen had served 2 tours in Afghanistan as a Marine Corps sniper, 23 confirmed eliminations, a silver star she never mentioned, and reflexes that had kept her alive when others hadn't made it home. The morning of the 15th of October started like any other. Victoria reviewed the previous night's security logs, noting a minor issue with the parking garage camera on level B3. She made a mental note to have maintenance check it, the same way she cataloged every detail that seemed even slightly unusual. It was a habit that had kept her squad alive in Sangin District. Marcus Webb, the chief financial officer, swept past her desk without acknowledgement, as he had every morning for 3 years. His assistant, Jennifer Phillips, offered Victoria a polite nod. The junior executives ignored her completely, lost in their phones and their importance. Only Detective Sarah Morrison, who handled the building's liaison with Seattle PD, ever really talked to her. Sarah had noticed something different about Victoria's bearing, the way she carried herself, but had never pressed for details. "Morning, Vic," Sarah said, stopping by with her usual coffee. "Anything interesting in the overnight reports?" Victoria looked up from her screens. "Camera malfunction in B3. Might want to have patrol do an extra sweep down there today." Sarah nodded, trusting Victoria's instincts without question. Over 3 years, Victoria had developed a reputation for noticing things others missed. Little details that prevented problems before they became incidents. At 10:47 a.m., Victoria's training kicked in. The lobby cameras showed 3 men entering through different entrances within a 2-minute window. Each carried briefcases. Each wore similar dark suits. Each moved with the same efficient gait she recognized from her military days. She watched them on her screens, her Marine Corps training automatically cataloging details, the way they scanned exits, how they positioned themselves to control sightlines, the subtle bulge under the left shoulder of the tallest one's jacket. These weren't business visitors. Victoria's fingers moved across her keyboard, pulling up their entry logs. All 3 had visitor badges for meetings on different floors, all scheduled within the same hour. All with executives who, according to her access logs, weren't in the building yet. She reached for her radio to alert building security, then stopped. If these men were professionals, they'd be monitoring security frequencies. Instead, she opened the secure communication app on her personal phone and sent a message to Detective Morrison. 3 unknowns in building. Floor 3 security office. Come alone. Then Victoria did something she hadn't done in 3 years. She opened her desk's bottom drawer and removed a Glock 19 from its hidden compartment. Not regulation for corporate security, but completely legal with her concealed carry permit. The 3 men had split up, each heading to different elevator banks. Victoria tracked their progress on her screens, noting they'd all pressed buttons for the 47th floor, executive level, where the C-suite officers had their morning meetings. Victoria's phone buzzed. Sarah Morrison's reply, "On my way, 2 minutes." But Victoria knew they didn't have 2 minutes. The elevator cameras showed the 3 men removing items from their briefcases. Not documents, weapons, military-grade assault rifles, broken down for transport, and now being rapidly assembled. Victoria stood up from her desk for the first time that morning, her movement suddenly crisp and purposeful. The transformation was immediate and startling. Gone was the quiet security manager. What emerged was someone else entirely. She accessed the building's emergency protocols, sealing all entrances and exits. Then she did something not covered in any corporate manual. She pulled the fire alarm for floors 45 through 50, forcing evacuations that would clear civilians from the danger zone. The elevators carrying the 3 men had reached the 45th floor. Victoria watched them exit and immediately take positions covering the stairwells. These weren't random attackers. This was a coordinated assault. Detective Morrison burst through the security office door, weapon drawn. "What's the situation?" Victoria was already moving, checking her weapon and grabbing her master key card. 3 professionals, military training, targeting executive floor. They've sealed the stairwells. "SWAT's 15 minutes out," Morrison said, following Victoria toward the service elevator. "We need to wait for backup." Victoria stopped and looked at her directly. "Detective, 15 minutes means everyone on that floor dies. These men know what they're doing." Morrison studied Victoria's face, seeing something there she'd never noticed before. "You're not just security, are you?" "Marine Corps sniper, 2 tours. And right now, I'm the only person in this building qualified to stop what's happening upstairs." The service elevator was their only route to the upper floors. As they rode up, Victoria explained what she'd observed. 3-man team, coordinated entry, professional weapons. "They're not here for money. This is an assassination." The elevator stopped at the 46th floor. Victoria checked her weapon and looked at Morrison. "I need you to coordinate with SWAT when they arrive. Don't follow me up there." "Like hell, I'm letting you go alone." Victoria's expression didn't change. "Detective, with respect, you're a good cop. But what's happening up there requires different skills." The 47th floor was eerily quiet when Victoria emerged from the service elevator. The fire alarm had cleared most of the executive assistants and support staff, but the executive conference room would still be occupied. The monthly board meeting, attended by the company's top officers. Victoria moved through the executive area with the same careful precision she'd once used moving through Taliban-controlled territory. Every corner checked, every angle calculated, every sound analyzed. The first gunman had positioned himself at the main elevator bank, controlling access to the floor. Victoria observed him from behind a support column, noting his weapon, his stance, his field of view, professional but focused on the elevators. He wasn't expecting a threat from within the floor. Victoria's approach was silent, using the office furniture and the architectural features for concealment. When she was within effective range, she made her presence known. "Drop your weapon." The gunman spun toward her voice, but Victoria had positioned herself with both cover and a clear shot. Her round caught him center mass before he could bring his rifle to bear. 23 confirmed eliminations. Now 24. The sound of gunfire alerted the other 2, but Victoria was already moving. She knew they'd converge on the conference room, using the executives as shields. She also knew the layout of the 47th floor better than they did. The executive area had been designed with a secure conference room at its center, surrounded by individual offices. Victoria used the outer offices to approach unseen, moving with a patience that had made her one of the most effective snipers in her unit. Through the conference room's glass wall, she could see the situation. 2 gunmen held 12 executives on the floor. No shots fired yet, but she could see the tactical situation developing. They were waiting for something, or someone. Victoria positioned herself in the CFO's corner office, which offered a clear line of sight into the conference room. The angle was challenging, requiring precision shooting through the glass wall with hostages in close proximity to the targets. This was exactly the kind of shot that had made her reputation in Afghanistan. Extreme precision under pressure, with innocent lives hanging in the balance. She steadied her weapon against the office desk, controlling her breathing the way she'd been taught at Scout Sniper School. The first target was partially visible, his position limiting her shot angle. She waited, knowing patience was often the difference between mission success and civilian casualties. The gunman moved, 3 inches to his left, clearing the line of fire. Victoria's first shot shattered the conference room glass and dropped the gunman instantly. The second target spun toward the sound, giving her a clear shot at center mass. 2 rounds, 2 hits, 26 confirmed eliminations. The executives in the conference room remained frozen, unsure if the threat had ended. Victoria emerged from the office, her weapon lowered but ready, sweeping the area for additional threats. "This is Victoria Chen, building security," she announced calmly. "The threat has been neutralized. Remain in place until SWAT clears the area." CEO David Richardson looked up at her with something approaching awe. "Victoria, you've been our security manager for 3 years. How did you—" "Prior military experience, sir." Detective Morrison's voice crackled over Victoria's radio. "SWAT's in the building. What's your status?" 3 targets neutralized. Executives safe. 47th floor secure. When the SWAT team arrived, they found Victoria sitting calmly at her security desk, her weapon disassembled and secured. Her incident report was already typed and ready for review. The investigation that followed revealed the 3 attackers were foreign operatives targeting Meridian Financial's executives because of the company's work with defense contractors. The assault had been planned for months, with inside intelligence about building security and executive schedules. Captain James Rodriguez, the SWAT team leader, approached Victoria after reviewing the scene. "Ma'am, I've been doing this for 15 years. What you did up there, that level of precision under pressure, that's not standard security training." Victoria looked up from her computer screen. "No, sir, it's not." "Marine Corps?" "Yes, sir. Scout Sniper School, Quantico. 2 deployments, the 23rd of March in Expeditionary Unit." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Hell of a thing, keeping skills like that quiet for 3 years. Some skills you hope you never have to use again, Captain." Over the following days, Victoria found herself the center of unwanted attention. News media, corporate executives, law enforcement officials all wanted to understand how a security manager had single-handedly stopped a terrorist attack. CEO Richardson called her into his office a week later. "Victoria, I owe you an apology. For 3 years, I walked past your desk without really seeing you. I had no idea we had someone with your background protecting this building." Victoria remained standing, maintaining the professional distance she'd always kept. "Sir, that was rather the point. Effective security often works best when it's invisible." Richardson leaned back in his chair. "The board wants to offer you a significant promotion, head of corporate security for all our facilities. Substantial salary increase, executive benefits, your own team." "That's generous, sir, but I prefer my current position." "Why? You could write your own ticket anywhere now. Defense contractors, federal agencies, private security firms." Victoria looked out the window at the Seattle skyline, considering her answer. "Sir, 3 years ago, I came here because I wanted to be invisible. To do quiet, important work without recognition or fanfare. What happened last week doesn't change that. But surely you understand you can't go back to checking visitor badges after this." Victoria smiled slightly. "With respect, sir, I was never just checking visitor badges." Richardson studied her for a moment. "What were you doing, exactly?" "My job, keeping people safe. The fact that it became dramatic doesn't change the basic mission." 6 months later, Victoria Chen still arrived at 6 a.m. and left at 7 p.m. She still handled access cards and incident reports. She still sat at the same desk on the 3rd floor, monitoring the building's security systems. But things had changed in subtle ways. Detective Morrison stopped by more often, usually with questions about threat assessment that had nothing to do with Meridian Financial. Federal agents occasionally consulted with her on matters they couldn't discuss in detail. The executives who had once ignored her now nodded respectfully when they passed her desk. Some stopped to chat about security concerns they never bothered mentioning before. Most importantly, Victoria had found a balance between the invisible security manager she'd chosen to become and the Marine sniper she'd always been. She was still quiet, still unremarkable to casual observation, but now she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had proven herself when it mattered most. On a Tuesday morning in April, as employees streamed through the lobby beginning another day, Victoria noticed something unusual on her screens. A delivery truck parked in an odd position. A maintenance worker whose credentials didn't match his face. She reached for her radio, then paused and smiled slightly. Some habits, it seemed, were worth keeping. The woman they'd ignored for 3 years was still watching, still protecting, still invisible when she chose to be, and deadly when she needed to be. And in a world where threats could emerge from anywhere at any time, that combination made her exactly what they needed, whether they realized it or not.